Bottled in France, this wine has traveled across the Atlantic to make it to this Virginia warehouse, alongside 150,000 other bottles. 48-year-old LALA has been importing European wine in the U.S. for 17 years. His company, Elite Wines, supplies restaurants and shops in Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. in European wines, especially French ones.
French and Spanish wines make up 60% of our sales. So it's substantial.
That means nearly 3/4 of his bottles are targeted by new U.S. tariffs on European goods that could be as high as 25%. Duties that initially had nothing to do with wine. They are a consequence of a long-running conflict between Boeing and Airbus, with the U.S. accusing the EU of illegally subsidizing its plane maker. In October, the World Trade Organization ruled in favor of the U.S., giving Washington the green light to impose tariffs on $7.5 billion worth of EU goods. Top of the list, French wine. At Elite Wines, Laurent LALA has managed to limit the impact of these tariffs on his clients for now.
As long as we have stock, we don't pass on the cost to our customers. But gradually, when containers will come in and we'll pay 25%, we will have to adjust. Not overall, but product by product. We won't adjust by 25% because they'll make an effort and we'll make an effort, hoping that better days are around the corner.
Wine specialists have so far shielded their clients from price hikes thanks to their stocks and by reducing their profit margins. But markups aren't far off, especially for smaller companies like this DC wine shop, where half of the wine bottles sold are French.
These are the wine they're going to be heavily affected by the tariff. Why? Because $13, if this bottle, is going to be $16 or $17, nobody is going to buy it. It's going to be hard on us, but it's going to be the most difficult and hardest on the consumer who use French wine, mostly for me, Bordeaux, who use Bordeaux for their party, for their everyday consumption, for special occasion. Those are going to be hurt with the tariff.
Like Elite Wines, BASSAM AL-KAHOUAJI has used his stock to limit the impact of tariffs on his clients. But by mid-January, he'll be forced to raise his prices and worries it will drive some customers away.
You will love this Chateau Penet.
Yeah, I know I've seen this.
You've seen this. It's a Grand Cru. It's mostly Merlot and have some Bordeaux, some Cabernet. Nice. It needs to open up, so open it up and give it 10, 15 minutes. Will be great while,
John is a regular. He comes in several times a week to buy a rosé, white, or red wine, but always French. For him, the tariffs are unfair.
It's very short-sighted by our government to basically punish the wine industry because of a trade dispute in a whole other industry with Airbus that has nothing to do with wine, and American consumers that have to pay the price for sins of other industries.
The U.S. is using the tariffs as leverage in its trade war with the European Union, part of Donald Trump's protectionist policies of putting America first, no matter how it impacts the global economy.
What Trump is doing is very dangerous for trade relations between France and the United States, and also for the future of the global economy. It goes against the traditional vision of U.S. foreign policy, and you can see markets reacting. Many economists are worried about the long-term impact on global growth of these trade wars and these tariffs.
The U.S. is the biggest importer of French wines and alcohol. If the tariffs aren't lifted, thousands of jobs could be on the line in France, but also here in the United States. Back in November, the French embassy hosted an evening promoting French wine. Among the guests, European and American wine importers like Robert TOBIASSEN, the president of the National Association of Beverage Importers, who says the situation is worrisome.
How does a father go home and tell his son, I lost my job because of some aircraft dispute? That has nothing to do with wine. People's jobs are at stake here. Their contracts are being disrupted. Their supplies are being disrupted. in the marketplace. They will lose market share. People will lose jobs over this. These are good, solid jobs.
Wine producers, importers, and consumers on both sides of the ocean are still hoping for a turnaround. But the future seems bleak, with Donald Trump now threatening to raise tariffs on all French wines and champagnes to 100%.